Hello everyone, this is Beastly Eel here, and in today's video we're going to be doing a Marvel character spotlight. This particular character is Arthur Harrow. Now Dr. Arthur Harrow, is a character that is being introduced into Moon Knight. So I would definitely consider him a villain, but what I really want you to understand too is I wouldn't necessarily consider him a supervillain. You'll understand more when we go over his backstory. So, in the comics, Dr. Harrow was a selected candidate for the Nobel Peace Prize in Medicine for his work in the field of pain theory. However, there was a doctor named Dr. Victoria Grail who had become very suspicious of his work and and especially she was very suspicious at the advancement of his work, despite the fact that his papers indicated that he only carried out research on animals. So she raised an objection to his nomination when she traced the documents relating to secret experiments by the scientists in Auschwitz. Um, so the reason why that was a big problem was obviously Auschwitz is where a lot of um, Jewish people were murdered and experimented on. Harrow was thought to be one of the doctors behind some of those experiments. Now, the documents had been ordered to be destroyed by the Nuremberg Tribune, but they've mysteriously disappeared. Now, apparently, they were taken by a group called Omniman, Omnium, Omnimum, Omnimum. I'm going to call them Omnimum. Now, this group obviously took it and then hired Harrow to do work for them. So, despite allegedly being in Mexico to research the jaguar and the armadillo, Grail, Dr. Grail was certain that Dr. Harrow was carrying on his Auschwitz experiments and was sent by the Nobel Committee to interview him and report back to Stockholm. So she's definitely trying to get him out of there and stop his experiments from causing harm to other people. Now, Mark Spector, who is actually Moon Knight, but his alter ego, I guess you'd say, was driving when the priests of Khonshu appeared to him, causing him to smash his automobile and sending him mental visions of Dr. Harrow, one of his subjects, Dr. Grail, and the period of Omniman. Um, so he was alerted, oh, I'm sorry, in the pyramid. Omniman, Omniman was alerted to Dr. Grail being in the area and dispatched agents to apprehend her. Um, so at knife point, they tried to push her into the van, but the kidnapping was spotted by Mark, who transformed himself into the Moon Knight and freed her. So she was definitely scared of him at first because she didn't know who the heck he was. After them talking, they realized that they were both after the same thing, which was Dr. Harrow. When they finally found him, they they found his most recent volunteer tied to a table and had electrodes inserted into their body. Dr. Harrow slashed into the person's forearm and sensitized and irritated the nerves, then utilizing transscrutinish stimulation. I apologize for butchering some of this. He basically stimulated the nerves to understand the body better. Dr. Harrow felt that he was on his way to achieving his goal and to converting his process into a chemical formula by removing pain in general, where he would hope to remove the need for wires and electrodes. So Omniman decided to collect Dr. Harrow as his lab was compromised, and he knew he had no choice to obey because basically that group had all the money and his documents, and so he had to basically do what he was told. The big thing, though, is he vowed that if, when he finally was able to heal himself, and I'll discuss that a little later, he would no longer be dictated by their terms. So anyway, Moon Knight and Dr. Grail found his lab again, and when Dr. Harrow found them, he sent a jaguar after them. Moon Knight took the cat out with ease by throwing it against the wall and shocking it. So they had happened to find his false wall in his building, where it led down the stairs to his actual lab. When they were down there, the two of them, Moon Knight and Dr. Grail, were surrounded by his patients. Now, Dr. Harrow ordered his patients to kill the two of them. Now, Moon Knight was basically warned by Dr. Grail not to hurt them because they were they were basically patients. They weren't doing what they were definitely planning on doing, and it wasn't something they were trying to do. Anyway, while they were fighting, he realized that none of his attacks were really doing much damage, and in fact, Moon Knight accidentally broke one of the arms of the subjects, and they didn't even notice the injury. So obviously, he realized he wasn't going to be able to beat them in the regular way, in the sense of using brute force. So he decided to flee. So he was able to yank this. So Moon Knight was able to yank the steel door from its hinges, and allowing him and Dr. Grail to flee from the pyramid. Now, Dr. Harrow escaped in a helicopter, so Moon Knight was able to use a crescent dart to bring him down, but they dropped a device causing Moon Knight to jump for cover. Dr. Harrow escaped and was contracted by Omniman's chief, who assured him that his experiments would continue at their in in another country. So that's basically a brief overview of what Dr. Harrow is and what he is capable of. So he's definitely a minor character in the comics in general, but he's definitely one of the first ones we see with Moon Knight. So we're going to talk about his powers and abilities. So he's got a genius intellect. He has a talent for surgery and a scientist whose work in medicine led him to be at least nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. Regardless of his methods, his work did go further than what most people were able to do. His other thing though was he has an injury which caused him to be paralyzed on the left side of his face, which pulls the left side of his mouth into a permanent snarl and causes him constant pain. So all of this we're definitely going to see. I'm guessing in Moon Knight is he's going to be trying to get Moon Knight to be one of his experiments to understand his psychosis better. And I'm wondering if he's going to be a main focus on mental health more than being a Nazi surgeon. But we'll definitely have to wait and see. But I'm curious at what's going to happen in the show and how they're going to portray Dr. Harrow. We've already seen him kind of as a cult leader. Um, so it'll be interesting to see what he's capable of doing later. That being said, um, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Are you excited to see this character? Is there another character you'd like me to discuss? Please let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you like the content you see, please like and subscribe below. Other than that, it's going to be Beast Leo signing out. So have a good night.